This is The Good Government Show.
Bergen County hunger? That's crazy. Wow, that can't be, but it's real.
The center is like a lifeline, and they say no to you. There's always something for you, and to just have faith. God provides. They're very kind, and they say hello with a smile, and they know your name, and it's good.
They not only show up in tears, they hug us, they thank us, they tell us, Joanne, I don't know what we would do if you weren't here.
Today, we're talking about Bergen County, New Jersey. It's a wonderful place to live. In fact, lots of celebrities were born or have lived in Bergen County. It's quite affluent, but it also has a problem that really lots of communities these days struggle with, and that is hunger, food insecurity. And that's our topic today. So welcome to the Good Government Show. It's all about how government saw a problem and fixed it, how government helped fill hungry bellies in an affluent community. Welcome to our show. I'm your co-host, Carol DeOria.
And I'm Dave Martin. First, this is The Good Government Show. If you like us, tell your friends to listen too. Make sure to follow us, and please like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and rate us where you listen to us. It helps us bring you more stories of good government action like this one.
Okay, so first, some quick trivia, Dave. What actor was born in Bergen County, New Jersey, who starred in Get Shorty, Saturday Night Fever, Pulp Fiction, and Urban Cowboy?
Well, that, of course, is John Travolta.
Right.
Who I guess he's not a real cowboy then.
No.
Just a movie cowboy.
And do you remember the name of the TV show where he starred as Vinnie Barbarino?
Of course. Welcome Back, Kotter, about a bunch of kids right here in Brooklyn.
I love that show.
Yes, everyone loved Vinnie Barbarino. But, you talk about Jersey, you got to talk about The Sopranos, right?
I know. James Gandolfini. So popular in The Sopranos. And so anyway, Bergen County is an affluent county. It's in the northeast corner of New Jersey. It has nearly 1 million people, so we're talking a big place. The median household income is about $109,000.
So this is not a place where you'd think of as a problem with hunger. I mean, it's a very affluent New York City suburb, but there must be problems, and how big are these problems?
Well, they had so many problems, Dave, that they had to form a task force to deal with it. And we'll talk about the nuts and bolts of that in a minute. But David, I want you to hear first from a woman. She is fantastic. Her name is Sue Cola Curcio. She is the executive director of the Franciscan Community Development Center of Fairview. Now, Fairview is a community in Bergen County. Fairview is what's known as a food desert.
All right, so let me stop you. What exactly is a food desert? Can you define that?
Okay, well, the powers that be say that a food desert is a place where it's really hard to buy affordable, that's the key, affordable and healthy food.
So it's not just stuff you pick up at a convenience store.
Right. And among other things, Sue runs a pantry where she talks about this.
People in the beginning were like, Bergen County hunger? That's crazy. Well, I mean, it may be crazy, but I think COVID kind of leveled the ballpark. And, there were people of all walks of life and all, socioeconomic backgrounds that were on our line. So I think that COVID, said it was okay. You can come out to help. And there was no discrimination at that point. So, I think the concept of, hunger in Bergen County was like, wow, that can't be, but it's real. We saw working people who were not working, who had tremendous difficulty in getting through on unemployment, and that took weeks or months. And then, we also had and still have people that are on fixed income.
So that was during the height of COVID, but people are getting back to work now, but it's still a problem here?
It is still a problem because although COVID is starting to lessen in many areas, it's also increased in others. And the cost of everything, including food, Dave, it's skyrocketing. We have inflation. Right? So let's talk about the numbers. Now, this is according to a woman named Tracy Zur, and she's really important. She is a Bergen County commissioner, and she's the one who spearheaded the Food Security Task Force.
So she must be our hero in this story.
Right, she
Good.
is.
We always look for the government hero.
Absolutely.
All right. So our hero says, what does our hero say?
She says the county may be affluent, but during the pandemic, food insecurity increased. Check this out, 70%.
70%.
Yes,
That's a big number.
It is. And it hasn't declined. It's stabilized, but it's not going down. So where they might have been feeding, say, 20 families or 30 families at a local food pantry before the pandemic, that number is now 220 families.
That's not just doubling. That's a significant increase.
Yes, absolutely. So here's Tracy.
So many people don't think this is a problem here. They think this is, a city urban problem. They don't realize that so many of their neighbors are making really difficult choices between paying their car insurance and eating. And so, making sure that people are aware and understand the face of hunger in the suburbs and that there really are, so many challenges.
Isn't there also especially in the suburbs, unfortunately, a bit of a stigma about people going to a food pantry?
Absolutely. And that's, we have one community that is all delivery service to the people in need because people are ashamed to come forward to a food pantry and ask for help. So they deliver it to limit that stigma in some of these, in some of these communities. We also have many seniors who are struggling or many, people who have other, mobility issues and sometimes for those for whom transportation is an issue, getting to the food pantry is a challenge as well.
So, how hard is it to put a food pantry together? I mean, all you need is some dollars, a few grants, and some donations, a little canned food, and you're good to go, right?
Well, right. And that is what a person who operates a food pantry might do. The thing is, it gets more complicated than that when you are dealing with so many people in need. At one time, it was just a church with a little pantry and a few people came.
Right.
Now, we're talking a lot of people. Remember, before COVID, a food pantry might serve 30 families. Now, we think COVID is lessening in some spots, but they're continuing to provide food for 350 families.
Wow,
So,
these are big increases,
Yes.
even in Bergen County. Yeah.
and increases at each place, not just one place. So Tracy Zur, who formed the task force, said they just had to organize this mess, the pantries. They had to put them into a network so they could work more efficiently. And, you don't want to waste any food.
No,
because
the
it's
last thing you want to
expensive.
do is have food that needs to go to people not being used, right?
Right, exactly.
One of the things that was really interesting to me when we began is that most of the food pantries were not talking to each other. They were not connected to larger organizations like the Community Food Bank in New Jersey to be able to provide additional sources for food. And as I said, they weren't connected to each other. So first of all, by building a community and sharing best practices, it became one of our accomplishments was the first time somebody got an excessive delivery of milk to be able to put it out to the network. I have extra milk and have others be able to distribute that. That level of kind of coordination and cooperation is something that I'm really proud that we have built and is a real hallmark of resilience that we built in this food pantry network that we're establishing. We've provided grants through the American Rescue Plan to provide infrastructure improvements so that the pantries can invest in a computer. Like many of them, it was shocking to us at the beginning how few of the food pantries actually had computer technologies or databases or ways of communicating with their clients efficiently. And we're working hard to remedy that.
Dave, running a food pantry is really a lot like running a business. There's a lot of money involved to purchase food and lots of customers. Susan Cola Curcio, who runs that Franciscan Community Development Center, she has to deal with that. And she really paints a picture of how some of it works.
In Bergen County, Ridgewood applied for the Sustain and Serve grant. And they received $1 million. And what that did is that they took that $1 million and they said, okay, you're going to make meals at $10 a meal, but they have to be healthy and they have to be hot. And what we're going to do in the evening is that we're going to designate certain food pantries that are really in need. And we're going to have volunteers pick up the hot meals and deliver them to the specific food pantries. Well, what that meal did for us was amazing. It was super helpful on every human level.
So what kind of meals did they make?
Oh, great meals. all the restaurants in Ridgewood basically participated. They were awesome meals. So like Puzo's, which was an Italian restaurant, they did pasta, and they had one night they had pasta with meatballs. The next night they did like lasagna with meat, but it was all well balanced. They did eggplant parmesan, chicken parmesan, and on the side meat, of course. Then Bear Burger. Bear Burger did great Bear Burger. Plus they gave a salad. Green Fusion. They were vegetarian, so they did a lot of lentils, risotto, things like that. So we would receive 900 meals Monday night, and we would receive 900 meals on Thursday night. So every week we received 1,800 meals. And the clients would line up at 6 o'clock, and by 6:45, we were done. So in 45 minutes, we gave out 900 meals.
Wow.
And some of them saved the meals, like for birthdays and Mother's Day, because it was really a plate of dignity, where this restaurant food, they would never, be able to purchase. So that helped us in the pantry because we knew that, okay, they're going to have food Monday night. And that's going to last until at least Wednesday. And then Thursday, we're going to have frontline feeders again. And that's going to last until Monday. So, it would buy the weekend. And, if families had kids or whatever, we gave a meal per family member. But if they had kids, we threw in extra meals so that they could have it for lunch, and things like that. So that helped tremendously. It was like pantry food for the soul, because the way they, when they come to the food pantry, they pick up their packages, they walk away, it's like they're defeated. Like, I'm really sorry I have to be here, thank you very much. But when they came to the meals, it was a completely different attitude. They were happy. They were, oh my goodness, thank you. It was like, they were so grateful and proud to have these meals. So it did a lot psychologically for them, more than that brown bag walking out of the center.
It was a plate of dignity. Wow. That's really something. That's really saying something. I mean, you want to have food. You want to have food for your family, for your kids.
But nobody wants to be seen as like a beggar.
No, but I can see how having a really, nice dinner makes a difference in some people's lives. I can see where it'd be difficult to admit that you may not always have enough money to buy food. It's one of the basic ways people measure success, going out to dinner, having food, having a lot of food. And that's really someone's personal story. And I want to hear more personal stories. And you will hear that. But first, a word from our sponsor, NACO, the National Association of Counties. The Good Government Show welcomes a new sponsor for season 2, and that's NACO. And that's the National Association of Counties. Carol, did you know that county government affects more people than any other form of government? Well, I do now. Funny, you would think city or the federal government is bigger. Well, right, but it's not. You think about this. Roads, highways, hospitals, schools, recycling, law enforcement, water, sewers. In most of the country, those services are maintained by the county. That's county government. And we want to see good county government, and that's where NACO comes in. Exactly. They're a nationwide organization that represents all 3,069 counties across the USA. Now, that's a lot of support and, more importantly, brain power. Exactly. And they have many organizations and committees, and they do things like share best practices, and they work together on national issues. And they are urban, suburban, and rural counties that have different challenges, but they can still work together. Yes, they all work together. So NACO helps county government work better. And as we see in this and other episodes, when county government works, well, that's just good government. So thanks, NACO, for providing us with great stories and helping support good government. And thanks, NACO, for supporting the Good Government Show. And remember, citizens, don't forget to vote. Welcome back to the Good Government Show. So, Carol, I want to hear these stories. Okay, so going to a food pantry isn't really something that everyone is
comfortable talking about. But I did talk to one woman in the community of Fairview, and she really opened up to me. And she's so sweet. She's so grateful that she has the food bank in her life, not just for herself, but for her family. And her name is Maria.
I have kindergarten, second grade, and third grade. And one got left back. And my husband, his job is, sometimes he has jobs, sometimes he doesn't. Thank God the kids, they go to school, they eat lunch at school and breakfast. But it's tough. I'm just very happy because, you know, we're able to plan what we're going to eat and we make it last. And it's different foods and it's good. And the kids are happy because it doesn't seem like it's so hard with when they come home, like the food is there.
And that's how she gets what she needs, which is so important.
The hot meal, 2 nights a week at dinner time. So that's really good. I get a lot. And the pantry. I get a schedule, and once a month I get the food from the pantry. Cereal, beans, pasta, tuna, and then if I need more, like if we run out, I can always call and they can give me more.
Are you able to pick up like fruits and vegetables at the pantry or not so much?
It depends what they have. Apples, bananas, sometimes mangoes. It's always like different. And sometimes I get a gift card for $40 and I can go to City Supermarket. And I usually get, meat. But everything's so expensive at the stores. Yeah, everything's going up. So this is a big thing. The center is like a lifeline, and they never say no to you. There's always something for you, and to just have faith. God provides. They're very kind, and they say hello with a smile, and they know your name, and it's good.
So there are lots of food pantries. They need food, they need money. And Tracy Zur, who organized the Bergen County Food Security Task Force, says they really need donations. They need the bucks.
It is much more expensive to buy, broccoli and zucchini and store it and whatever than it is to have canned foods. We have several organizations that are involved in food rescue, Table to Table and others in our county that go and reclaim the food before it goes bad, and to get it to our food pantries in a timely fashion for them to disseminate. And that's been a big focus for us. We've definitely supported that. But it's making sure that, we funded this app called 412 Food Rescue, through Table to Table, where, corporate kitchens and things of that sort who have extra at the end can call and a volunteer will come and pick it up and then disseminate it to the food pantries in a timely fashion. So there's been a lot of things that we've funded and that we've, engaged with. But the bottom line is it's continually driving home that this need is still here, it still exists. It's not going to go anywhere fast, and that we all have a role to play in helping support our neighbors. So we've been working with our local hospitals. Inglewood Hospital's done this amazing job of creating a nutrition program where they talk about how to make the most nutritious meals out of your pantry box that you possibly can. And, those kinds of, the information piece is really important, but so is the donation piece, and making sure that we're getting Girl Scout groups to sponsor fresh fruit and vegetables. We have a really interesting partnership that we fomented between a medical care practice group that was looking to do something impactful, and they provided initially 6 months worth of all the fruits and vegetables as this one local food pantry for them needed, and had their members volunteer there. And then they put it out to their folks of like, do you want to continue to do this? And they had a voluntary checkoff box to take $1 or $2, whatever out of your paycheck. And they're going to be able to continue to do this and support this food pantry's needs for fruits and vegetables. That kind of partnership between a pantry and a business, that's exactly the kind of relationships we're trying to continue to establish.
Wow, Carol, this almost inspires me to start growing tomatoes in my backyard so I could give some away.
And people, that the fresh produce, that's what's really expensive. So when you think of food pantries these days, you really have to think bigger.
So bigger than my backyard.
Absolutely.
All right. Sorry.
You'd have to grow an awful lot of tomatoes.
I was just trying to help.
I spoke to Joanne Scalpello. Now, she's the director of the Norwood Food Pantry. It's also in Bergen County. There are a lot of these. And she started that 10 years ago. It was part of her church. It was the Church of the Holy Communion, a Christian church. And they served, a few senior citizens, maybe 20 families. And they would just do it for that church.
So one of the things that I'm starting to understand here is it sounds like they put together a whole network.
Absolutely. They had to link all of these little pantries and get them talking to each other.
So all these people were sort of doing their own individual thing.
Right.
And now they're together.
Right.
And is it working?
Absolutely, it's working. They started out serving maybe 20 families at the Church of the Holy Communion. Now they serve 90 families. And when you think of families, that converts to 300 individual people. It's a lot of people.
And that's part of a whole network of all these other people that are doing the same thing.
Exactly.
So you've got a real wide circle of food pantries, part of the network.
Exactly. And now, so not only are people who live here spending more for everything, whether it's gas, their car, food, and that's why they need the food pantries. Now you have lots of immigrants who are coming from different parts of the country, and wow, they need food too. So the numbers just keep growing. And Joanne Scalpello says people are really so grateful.
They not only show up in tears, they hug us, they thank us, they tell us, Joanne, I don't know what we would do if you weren't here. There were times when during the holidays, I would get little gifts from the families, and they can't even afford to come and get food, but they would give us a little poinsettia plant or something. If they traveled back to their home country, I would get a little something from them. They are just so appreciative, and you could tell by their face. They come, they say hello.
Magdalena is one of the mostly Spanish-speaking people. She uses the food pantry at the Franciscan Development Center, and she absolutely loves her food pantry. And just listen to this. She really speaks from the heart.
It's good for me, very good. I appreciate it. I have my family, my husband, my grandson, my daughter. Very good and very healthy. It's good for us.
So, David, this is all really important information.
This is all great stuff. It's all
great.
Get people getting fed who need to be fed.
People should not go hungry. But you know what? I have to confess, all this talk about food makes me hungry.
All right. Well, we should eat soon.
Okay. More on that after the break. The Good Government Show is sponsored by Liquid.
So here's the thing about Liquid. They do their homework. So, Carol, I'm going to give you a fun fact. A recent study found that over 80% of retail shoppers conduct online research before making a purchase. Do you do that?
Yeah, I like to know what I'm buying. But if you're a business, it takes more time than researching for a new TV, say.
Yeah, and for a business, you really have to do your research and you really have to evaluate who you're working with and make sure the company you're about to partner with is a good fit.
And that makes sense. So you want to stand out to other companies that are checking out your company.
And that's where Liquid comes in. They can help your business create a digital presence with impact so you can be impressive to new businesses and, keep your customers.
And it's not just about a website. See how much I learned about Liquid since the first season?
Well, of course. Well, Liquid's our partners. We want to know everything about them. And what they can do is they can guide you to where to advertise, and they can make sure your social media is relevant and that it engages your customers. And they make sure your digital story answers your potential customers' questions before they even ask them.
And that's what Liquid is good at, creating a full marketing and online digital presence.
Liquid's been around for nearly 2 decades. They have lots of experience and a lot of research to back up their plans.
And they have a team of designers, marketers, strategists, and developers. They can help companies in many industries with award-winning creative campaigns, content, and websites.
All good reasons to have Liquid plan your next digital marketing strategy. So check them out and talk to a Liquid professional. Visit them at www.liquidint.com.
And you will love Liquid as much as we do.
Because we love Liquid. We want to welcome back as a sponsor to the Good Government Show, Kutztown University of Kutztown, Pennsylvania.
And you want to talk about their rugby team.
Well, they do have a good rugby team. They just won a national tournament. And what I did was I called a friend. His daughter played at Kutztown. She played on the rugby team. And I asked him, what did he like best about Kutztown?
You mean besides the rugby team?
Well, yeah, besides the team, obviously the team first. But he responded immediately and said something I didn't know. His favorite thing is the chicken tower, or it's also called the Angry Chicken.
What? I hesitate to ask. The Angry Chicken?
Well, it's such a landmark that it's actually the school's logo. It's a clock tower. And apparently when you look from a special angle, the clock looks a little bit like a chicken with an open beak. So It's the Angry Chicken.
Okay, then. Well, let's talk about the other stuff, like that their degree program in music business is now nationally accredited. They offer undergraduate certificates in cybersecurity and technical writing.
So is this what we do? Is this technical writing?
Oh, no. Take a class and maybe get better at writing.
Oh, come on. That's not fair. You know what? You would benefit from the new graduate certificate program and be a school social worker. Maybe you'd be nicer.
All right. Well, the point is Kutztown is a forward-looking university. They also offer Pell Promise scholarships. And for students who qualify, student tuitions and fees are all covered.
And that's just some of why we like Kutztown and are happy to be associated with this university. Oh, and my friend thought it was really cool that sometimes the locals, they ride through in a horse and buggy. So check out Kutztown University. That's Kutztown University, and cheer on the rugby team.
Of course.
Yes, please.
Welcome back to the Good Government Show. And this is one of my favorite things to talk about, food and cooking.
Cooking and eating. Right?
In my other life, I could just do that.
That's it. Well, you're Italian. I think,
yes, right.
I think it's like you have to be that way.
Yes, you're right.
The big family table. Right?
Yeah, and we really do have that, just like the stereotype. I hate to admit it. So I cook. What about you, Dave? I've known you for a long time. What, 25 years or so?
Yes, a long time.
I know you like to eat, but can you cook?
Yes.
Yes, really?
Sure. I can a little gumbo, a little jambalaya. We can do some ribs on the grill.
Really?
Absolutely. Sure.
I sort of thought of you as like a meat and potatoes guy. Throw a steak in the oven and that's it.
Oh, no, you don't throw a steak in the oven. You got to grill it. And then there's fried rice, Chinese food.
I could tell, yes. When we go to Chinese food, you always get fried rice.
I always get fried rice, right. And, we were talking about this and you told me about this, and I looked on the Food Security Network on their website, and they have a bunch of recipes, and I pulled one up. I just wanted to share this with you because I thought it was really, really good. It's just a basic recipe for fried rice that's on their site. It's cooked rice, which is easy, a little sesame oil, onion, peas and carrots, a little soy sauce, a couple of eggs, and then some green onions on the top if you want. If you want to add some like diced chicken or some diced pork or even throw in some shrimp, that's a really nice, easy, simple recipe that's right there on their website and one of their dishes.
I would think, actually, it does sound easy. I've never tried it, but I really should try it because my kids love that.
Well, sir, I always get a little fried rice when you're at the Chinese restaurant.
Now, I have two favorite dishes to tell you about. Do you like lentil soup?
Lentil soup, not my favorite. No, I got to tell you, not my favorite.
I had a feeling you would say that. How about lasagna?
No, lasagna, we're talking. They have a recipe here for lasagna?
They do.
I'm going to look.
Okay, but first let me tell you, I spoke to Stacy Antine. She is a registered dietitian, and she runs a wonderful foundation that does all kinds of things. It's called the Health Barn Foundation. And one of the things they do is they cook prepared meals for food pantries. And she has these wonderful recipes. She has a great way of serving food that a lot of people like you might wrinkle your nose at, but she does it in a way that she disguises the ingredients that people don't like, and she makes them taste absolutely wonderful.
So are you saying that like I'm like a kid, you have to slide my carrots into mashed potatoes so I don't know? No, come on. Give me a little credit.
The lentil soup, we make it Italian-style lentil soup. So there's carrots in there, celery, tomatoes. It's delicious, but I would say our cheesy lasagna rolls are like a family favorite. They are like on high demand. And what's great about that is that we just use one strip of pasta for the lasagna, and our filling, is a light on the ricotta cheese, but mostly silken tofu. And we add spinach to that and some Parm cheese and some mozzarella. We just roll it. And then we have rolls as opposed to layers of the pasta with cheese. And that's just not creating a healthy choice. So we kind of took a healthier spin on lasagna in a fun way that they get frozen as lasagna rolls. And then you can take them out individually or you can take them out
as like, it's always servings of 4. And so these, they went to Fairview, and we did it as a test pilot at the Franciscan Center for Development, not knowing if their clients would accept that. And I can tell you that the clients at the Franciscans have requested it. Ridgewood Social Services has requested it, and it's the same request that we're getting at Tomorrow's Children's Fund at Hackensack Hospital. So then the parents are thrilled because they're like, oh, wow, this is great. My kids are eating this. And everyone's eating healthier, lower carb, higher protein, and but in a format that they can eat, probably never thinking they would have tried this.
So, I've been looking over these recipes. There's lots of really good stuff. What's the purpose of these recipes? Why do they put this together?
Okay, so here's what happens. A lot of people, in the old days, women, especially girls, would sit at their grandmother's knee or their mother's, and they would learn how to cook. But, over the generations, a lot of that has fallen by the wayside as women go out to work. They work outside the home. There's nobody teaching the cooking. So they're finding that when you go to a food pantry, when they give the raw ingredients, like, say, lentils, people look at it and they don't know what to do with it, so they don't take it. And then all of a sudden, the food pantry has a stockpile of lentils. So what they're finding is that they prepare the meals. They give people a taste of what something is like. And that what they're hoping is it'll spark some interest.
Okay. Well, here's a recipe I saw. This is a great recipe.
What is that? Especially,
for basic ingredients out of a food pantry. It's basic Italian bean soup. I mean,
I love bean soup.
Sure. It's not minestrone that you get at a really great Italian restaurant, but this looks really delicious and really simple. Olive oil, dice up an onion, a little garlic, a little tomato sauce, cannoli beans, dried basil, oregano, and you just mix it up into a nice soup. It says right here, prep time 10 minutes, cooking time 10 minutes. That's a meal.
It's a great meal. And you know what? You can tailor it to your family. If they don't like carrots, okay, leave out the carrots. You might put something else. You might put a little celery in or a little broccoli. You can almost do anything you want with it.
Are they finding that people are checking out these recipes and doing stuff with them?
Yes, they are. They are. Because suddenly somebody will say, okay, maybe I'll take those beans, because now they know what to do with it.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, here's a recipe. This might be a little more complicated, but it's
what's that?
It's called braised chicken with peppers and onions. So, little chicken.
Okay.
You take a whole chicken, you just cut it up into pieces, a little salt and pepper, a little oil, onion, a little garlic, and then, cut up some peppers, a jar of pasta sauce, something you have lying around the house. And then you can either serve it over pasta or just make it by itself. All you do is you simply brown or braise the chicken, throw all the ingredients in, let it simmer, throw it over some spaghetti, boom.
And you're done.
You're done.
And you know what?
Now you would eat that.
I would definitely eat that.
So you weren't a big fan of this recipe when I pulled it up the first time.
Well, because you know what? If you don't cook the chicken long enough, I don't like the blubbery skin. No. I like crispy skin.
So you have to cook the chicken well.
Right. And you know what else you need, David? You have to have good knives. Because if you take a whole chicken and you try and cut it, if you don't have a good knife, it's not going to work.
Welcome to the Good Cooking Government Show.
I could talk all day about cooking.
We are not doing a food show. We are doing a government show. But here, this is a great example of how government really stepped in to help. I mean, I like this idea. What's the expression? Give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. Teach a man a fish, he'll eat for a lifetime. And this is basically what they're doing here, right?
Right. So, David, when you put all of this together, this is government, good government at its best. There was a hunger problem in Bergen County in New Jersey, and there still is. And the county said, we can fix this. And they did. They put together a task force and a wonderful network of food pantries, and they're solving a problem. And that's the Good Government Show.
That's and right. Okay. Now I'm sorry. I'm back on recipes. Crustless quiche. I mean, I like quiche. I know, real men don't eat quiche, all that stuff.
Right, but it's good though.
Oh, quiche is delicious. My wife makes a great quiche. Eggs, you put it in a pan. Anyway, we could do this forever. Yes, this is good government in action. And what's more important, really, at the end of the day, than feeding people?
Exactly.
Especially in a place like Bergen County where you wouldn't expect that to happen. And it happens across the nation. And it's good to see that someone in Bergen County stepped up and created a program. And I was really inspired by what you were saying when they really pulled together a whole network. Was it hard? Was it hard?
Well, you know what? What made it easier was they gave people computers. Okay. And they were suddenly linked by a computer.
Oh.
And so if you needed something, you could just go into the computer and say, anybody have extra
Send us 10 pounds of pasta.
Yeah. You know, because sometimes you would get a delivery by mistake. And now what are you going to do with all that pasta? Or what are you going to do with all those beans?
So they had a network they could spread it out to.
Right.
Oh, that has to make a difference. So do you know how many there are? How many of these different food banks there are in Bergen County?
Oh, they're countless because each church can have a food bank. And a lot of them start ad hoc when suddenly somebody has a problem. They start collecting food. And then I've done news stories about this. Wow, they have so much food. What do they do with it? So they have to bring it somewhere. So there are lots of food banks. Lots of food banks and lots of food banks in Bergen County because they created the Food Security Task Force. Yes, that's the name, the Food Security Task Force. Well, that's good government in action. And this is the Good Government Show. I'm Carol Dioria. And I'm Dave Martin. Thanks for listening. See you on the next episode of the Good Government Show. Thanks for listening. If you like our show, please tell your friends to listen too. Follow us and like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter and be part of the conversation. And please give us a 5-star rating right here where you're listening to this podcast. Your support helps us continue to tell stories of good government in action. For extras on all of our shows, visit our website, goodgovernmentshow.com. The Good Government Show is produced by Valley Park Productions. Jim Ludlow, David Martin, and David Snyder are the executive producers. Jason Stershic is our editor and producer. Some transcriptions were done by Kofi, Ajeasi, Ampah. Our hosts are me, David Martin, and Carol Dioria. Join us again for the Good Government Show wherever you listen to your podcasts.